would become sort of the focus of national attention and a national debate.
No, really, I didn't. I mean, look, it's become a movement, and it's become a parents' movement. You know, a lot of parents were awoken in 2020. You know, their kids were kept out of school. They saw what was going on, you know, when the curtain was pulled back on curriculum,
right.
And they realized, you know, there's a lot of things that maybe I just don't agree with. And regardless of your politics, Republican, Democrat, Independent, people said, you know what, some of this maybe isn't right.
Well, that's for sure. And what certainly isn't right, indisputably, is the attitude with which school boards, teachers unions responded to parents. The idea was, hey, shut up. It's none of your business what we're teaching your kids. In all the time that you've worked on this, have you come across anybody in any of those positions, teacher, administrator, school union head, who's been open-minded and like talked to you, had a real dialogue, as they say, with you, or has it been entirely dismissive?
Look, I'm from Loudoun County. Our Loudoun County School Board is pretty much been a disgrace. We actually, you know, we had a passing of one school board member when they brought in a new individual. That individual had more town halls in 2 weeks than anyone else on that school board. And I think parents, their frustration came from, you know, not being able to hear their voice. And, you know, we asked for town halls. They don't want to, you know, listen. And you realize for Loudoun, it's because they're covering up sexual assaults. And this pushes into the election where, you know, parents said, look, I can care about my children's education. My children's education matters. And, you know, specifically the safety when I send them on the school bus or drop them off matters even more. And that's gravitated for a lot of people. And, you know, I think one side, Terry McAuliffe was saying, look, the associations and unions matter. But you have Glenn Youngkin saying parents matter and I'm going to empower you. And I think that's resonated at least through this campaign.
Well, yeah. I mean, who do these people think they work for exactly? Don't you pay them? Whose children do they believe these are? Aren't they your children? Like, where do they get these attitudes?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it's hard when you see people like Terry saying, look, this doesn't matter, but I send them to private schools. Well, isn't that exactly having a decision in your children's education? We don't, you know, this isn't about every little fundamental issue. We're not going to get a perfect curriculum. But what we can do is empower our kids to be better and to strive to be the best they can academically. And I think that that crosses so many political lines that it makes it an individual impact to everyone. And this has created a movement in Virginia. And it's also created a discussion nationally and set a blueprint for America to have these discussions.
Any school that resists parental involvement is up to something evil, by definition. No one loves your kids more than you do, period. So that really is the tell. Right. I'm glad that you called them out on that. Brandon, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
So education, as we've said again and again, became this unexpected very center of the Virginia governor's race, but it wasn't the only issue. Shannon Bream is the host of Fox News at Night and our friend. She joins us with what else has been going on in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Shannon Bream.
Hey, Tucker. Well, listen, Virginia voters do say the economy is their top issue facing the state or the Commonwealth, followed distantly by the pandemic and education. Now, Youngkin is ahead among economy voters by 25 points and education voters by 40 points. But the people who are most focused on the pandemic, they're going for McAuliffe by an even wider 57-point margin. Virginia has begun its recovery from pandemic shutdowns. Over half rate the state's economy positively, either excellent or good, and those folks like McAuliffe. Now, at the same time, just 16% say they're getting ahead financially. About as many say they're falling behind. Most of them, though, 66% say they're holding steady financially. Now, Youngkin campaigned on cutting taxes, including eliminating state and local taxes on groceries. That has helped to give him a big lead among the 21% who say that the candidates' positions on taxes were actually the single most important factor to their vote this time around. Now, President Biden's marks on the national economy are negative. 54% disapprove, so we'll see how much there is a link between the Democratic candidate, Terry McAuliffe, and the White House as this race continues to play out. Tucker?
Shannon Bream, thanks so much. Great to see you tonight for that summary. So the issue that has affected every American and is going to start to affect our politics in a very big way is the question of scarcity. Why can't you buy things that you could buy last year? And part of the answer is supply chain. The supply chain is broken. What does that mean exactly? Well, Mike Taylor is one of the few people who knows what it does mean and can explain it. He's one of the owners of Combined Energy Services. We're happy to have him on tonight. Mike, thanks so much for coming on. When we hear that the supply chains are falling apart, what does that mean and how long till it's fixed?
Well, Tucker, I don't know if I can really answer when it's going to be fixed, but I can tell you in our world, we deliver propane gas, home heating oil, welding supplies, and compressed gases. We're having a heck of a time getting all sorts of materials. I keep hoping it was going to get better, but the shortages are continuing, and the prices of all the commodities that we buy are going up drastically. Right now, I have 6 brand new trucks on order. They're months and months behind. I have to constantly replace my fleet. We don't know when they're coming in. In the meantime, also trying to get parts for my delivery fleet is getting harder and harder, keeping trucks on the road. So how the supply chain is going to help itself, I really can't tell you.
So those...
I also want to say...
Let me just ask, why can't you get those parts? Those are made abroad, I assume?
Well, I think it's a variety of factors. We sell heating systems, so trying to get new furnaces and boilers, welding supplies, a lot of that is imported. A lot of it's produced domestically, and the shippers just do not have the trucking capacity or the labor force to get the materials to us. We're hearing it constantly. We purchase many tanks, propane tanks for homeowners and businesses, industrial gas tanks, CO2 tanks. Manufacturers are 8 to 10 months behind, they tell us, and they can't even quote us price.
shit show. Rudy. Rudy. Rudy.
Yeah.
Here's a fucking shit show. Why don't they have a fucking satellite something for us?
Yeah, exactly. Tell the death and let them live. Well, I think our hit between He's up to the control room for news now. That's our first hit.
Yeah. I mean, the problem I'm having is I've got one bar that's going in and out. So even if I get her in, tinfoil.
Talking away, I don't know what to say. I'll say it anyway. Today is another day to find you shying away. I'm coming for your love, okay? Take on me, take on me, take me on, take on me. I'll be gone. So needless to say, I'm upset it, but I'll be stumbling away. Slowly learning that life is okay. Say after me, it's no better to be safe than sorry. Take on me, take on me, take me on, take on me. I'll be gone in a day or two. All the things that you say, is it delightful just to play my worries away? You're all the things I've got to remember. You're shying away. I'll be coming for you anyway. Take on me, take on me, take me on, take on me. I'll be gone. Take on me, take on me. Take on
Over the way. They got by and you have the screen up again? You have the screen up again? It went black before I had a chance to find it.
Okay, let's just you know what? Let's just do this. Let's do it. No. I'm sorry. Let's review the third word.
let you know we have a stream here from the State Board of Elections. So what you see here is the most current, and it's hard to see me have to walk up, but they're still coming in, and we expect to have the absentee and early votes within the next 30 minutes, and that's really where the rubber meets the road. That's the elephant in the room, so to speak. So that's coming, but I just wanted to kick it off and let you know that everyone's excited. And for all of you who worked the polls today, all of you who worked the polls, you guys are just doing great work. We appreciate it, and it's going to pay off. So what I'd like to do now, we're going to have some of the local electeds come up, and I'd like to have Senator Bill DeStep come up and talk with you just a few minutes. Give a round of applause for Senator Bill DeStep. Can you guys hear me out there? Can you hear me in the back? Can you hear me in the back? A little bit? That back corner, can you hear me over there? No? Can't hear. Let's turn it up. Isn't that a song? Turn it up! All right, let's go! I can't hear you. Can you hear me? There we go! All right, so everybody who worked the poll today, put your hand up. If you closed the poll, put your hand down. All right, how many people opened the poll? Put your hand up. Thank you, because you're the early birds with me. How many people worked the poll around lunchtime? How many people had somebody at the poll today thank them for being there? Perfect, perfect. How many of you guys think Glenn Youngkin's going to win? Outstanding. Glenn should win Virginia Beach by 65 to 70%. He should win the state by at least 3%. I'm predicting 5. How many people think Glenn should win it by 5%? I can't hear you in the back. All right, now we're energized. We're ready to go. We should have the absentee ballots in about 30 minutes or less, hopefully 15. As soon as we get that, we'll get the results from Virginia Beach Board of Election and the State Board of Election. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to turn it over to one of my peers in the Senate, hopefully our next Congresswoman, Jen Kiggins. Give it up for Jen.
Thanks, Bill. Awesome to see you guys out there. Who's excited for Glenn Youngkin to win? And our whole statewide slate and all of our awesome House of Delegates candidates. Who has worked their tails off the past year? It's been an awesome year. So much has changed. I know we're still waiting for results, and we will get there. But before we do anything else, I want to thank just all the volunteers out there. Any of you guys in the room who made phone calls for us, who knocked doors for us, who wrote postcards, who donated money. I know there's probably each and every one of you, because we certainly would not be here without you. So give yourself a big round of applause. Thank you. Also, a special shout out to our candidates, because these guys have literally given up the past year or more of their life just to be on ballots. People that got off their couch, that were just upset about what was going on in Virginia, they got up there to make a difference, and they're making a difference tonight as evidenced by these numbers. So give it up for all of our awesome candidates. So we're still waiting for the final results, but I think some of the things we need to be happy and congratulate ourselves on, all the awareness we've raised out there. We've raised awareness about schools, we've raised awareness about law enforcement, we've raised awareness about our economy and just the prices. Lots of work still to do, though. As we're speaking on a national level, they're trying to spend trillions of dollars of our hard-earned tax money. We're still have a crisis at the border. We are living in an unsafer world. There's still an economy that's in shambles and prices going through the roof. So I know we're excited about tonight, but let me just say, I'm here to tell you that the fight for next year starts today. We're taking back our country. We're taking back the U.S. House of Representatives. We're firing Nancy Pelosi. We're absolutely firing Elaine Lurie, and I can't wait to do that. So we'll turn our efforts to the country tomorrow morning, but tonight we're going to celebrate Virginia. Virginia's come a long way. Glenn Youngkin's been just an awesome candidate to watch. He's run a fabulous campaign, and I absolutely cannot wait to celebrate with each and every one of you. So thank you so much for coming, and stand by for next year.
Thank you, Senator Kiggins and Senator Bill Bestaff. We appreciate it. And everyone, have a great time. By the way, let me ask a question. How many of you were at the rally last night at the beach? Was that a good time or what out there? That was great. They did just a tremendous job. I really enjoyed it. And the people at the Hilton, they got quite a show, didn't they there? It was wonderful. So that's the kind of excitement I feel now. I feel that excitement right in this room. And if we watch this, I think we're going to get more excited yet. So we're going to have the music come back, and please eat and drink and just have a great time, and give us about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and we'll let you know what's really happening with the absentees and the early votes. So I'm going to hand it over back to the musicians here and let them regale you. It's great having you all here. Have some fun. Okay?
World who does not consider Randy Weingarten just repulsive. Like, why would you put Randy Weingarten on stage for your final rally? I mean, doesn't that just tell you it's only about the donors if you're putting Randy Weingarten on stage?
Yes, it's an act of total self-sabotage. I couldn't believe that Terry McAuliffe would do that. I mean, you look at these polls, including from places like the Washington Post, they say education is the #1 issue and your opponent, Glenn Youngkin, has the edge. The answer to that is not bringing out the person who made parents miserable over the course of the last 18 months, and that's what Terry McAuliffe did. He brought Randy Weingarten out and once again stuck his thumb in the eye of parents. And parents today apparently responded in force. They decided, you know what, I'm going to show up and I'm going to change who's in charge in Virginia. Again, we'll see how these results go, but things looking very good for Glenn Youngkin.
Yeah. I mean, these are people who don't have kids in Virginia public schools, in one case don't have kids at all, lecturing parents about how they don't have a right to control their own kids' education. Like, the hubris here is, it's crazy. They're crazy. These are religious nuts, obviously, and I hope they suffer.
It's completely out of control. It's completely out of control. By the way, let me one more point. The early vote here started on the 17th of September, and we didn't get that debate until the 29th, where Terry McAuliffe said out loud that parents shouldn't be telling schools what they should teach. That's a sign that early voting should not be that long. After Terry McAuliffe said that, I guarantee you there are Democrats who regretted their vote in the Commonwealth.
I bet that's true. Gosh. Vince Colonnese, great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Tucker.
So somewhere at the beginning of COVID, Phil Murphy, who's a finance creep and governor of New Jersey, decided to crown himself king. He's now God of New Jersey. He's up for election. That's really a formality in New Jersey where dead people vote in large numbers. But what's interesting is that this guy, who's a part of the Democratic machine, might not be doing as well as he should in a state that's controlled by the Democratic machine. Remember, this is the same governor who told us that the Bill of Rights isn't really relevant to his job. The Bill of Rights, as you well know, protects Americans' right, enshrines their right to practice their religion as they see fit and to congregate together, to assemble peacefully. By what authority did you nullify the Bill of Rights in issuing this order? How do you have the power to do that?
That's above my pay grade, Tucker. So I wasn't thinking of the Bill of Rights when we did this.
I wasn't thinking of the Bill of Rights. No, he certainly wasn't. And Ian Smith can confirm that. He's a citizen, a taxpayer. He's a gym owner. And Phil Murphy, the finance thug, has been trying to crush him since the very beginning of this pandemic. He joins us tonight on the eve of a potential humiliation of Phil Murphy that I know that you're praying for. Ian, thanks so much for coming on. So,
how are you, Tucker?
Every time we talk, and I deeply enjoy it every time, but I think, why do people in New Jersey put up with this guy?
You know, it's a question that I think a lot of people are asking throughout the state of New Jersey. You know, we have, to date, we have 291,000 people who have stepped foot inside of our facility, and pretty much every single person says that same question. So that brings up a lot of concerns with the New Jersey voter about the legitimacy of our voting system and why this keeps happening. And people like Phil Murphy seem to be untouchable in the state when nobody seems to like him.
He hasn't crushed you. Every time you come on this show, I always think, I cannot believe Ian Smith is still here. I expect you to be in prison or something, or I don't know, set out
He's
in
certainly
shackles.
trying.
Yeah, so how have you're the only person we've interviewed for a full year and a half who's resisted unconstitutional efforts to shut down your civil liberties, and you're still here. How have you done that?
Because the people support what we did at Attila's Gym, and that was a wild card for Phil Murphy. And the attention that we garnered both in the media and on social media and just with the public, not only in New Jersey but around the country, allowed us to be insulated from anything he threw at us. They tried everything they possibly could to shut down one small gym, and they have failed miserably, just like most of their policies regarding COVID and running the state of New Jersey.
I can't resist asking this. It's not election related, but now that we have the numbers on physical fitness and weight, obesity being one of the main comorbidities for COVID, do you feel vindicated? I mean, you've insisted on keeping a gym open for the length of this pandemic. You had the right public health guidance, it looks like now.
You know, we knew that from the start, and that's why we did it very publicly, because we wanted to show the world that the public health strategies that our officials were putting forth were horrible, and they were the exact opposite of what people should do to be healthy in a world where there are potential threats to your health, both things that you can control and both things that are somewhat out of your control.
Well, one thing you can control is being healthy, and you made it possible for people to do that. Anyway, I think you've taken a really heroic stand, and I'm glad that you've prevailed, no matter what happens to Murphy tonight. Ian Smith, great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Boy, it is looking really like an upset. We can't call it, but I mean, there's something going on in Virginia, so we're going right back to Bill Hemmer, who's a deeply responsible person who has real numbers at his disposal.
I don't know about how responsible, yeah, but we'll give it a shot. Tucker, good evening again. Just to let you know where we stand, we're at 64% of the statewide vote in on the screen, and Youngkin's hanging on to a 55-45 lead right now. I'll show you just one county down here. This is the area of Richmond. Again, Washington, D.C. is up here, Northern Virginia counties here. Richmond's yet to report, but this is Henrico County. Why am I pointing that out? This has been blue for a long time, a considerable time. You've got almost 97% of the vote, and Terry McAuliffe's getting 54% of the vote. That would be good for the Democrats, but if you went back and looked at 2017, you'd see that Ralph Northam was up about 60%. So in this Democratic county alone, at the moment, McAuliffe is underperforming. Why do I bring that out? Because this is the pattern we're seeing in so many places across the state where Youngkin is doing better, or he's hitting the number that he needed to hit in order to get victory here. Can't call it just yet, but at 55-44, we're getting closer here. In southwestern Virginia, he is running up the numbers. We expected that. Not as many votes as you find in these suburbs and these northern counties here. I'll just check in Loudon while we have a minute right now. Here you go, Tucker. 99% of the vote is in. McAuliffe at 55%. Remember, Youngkin had to get a minimum of 41%. That was his floor. Others expected to be a little higher than that, but he's performing very well in Loudoun County. So that's the picture as we see it right now. If you're in the Glenn Youngkin camp, you're pretty happy with the results thus far. It's not over, but he did some things right in this election. We can say that 11 months removed from a Joe Biden 10-point victory. And by the way, Republicans feel like they can take the lieutenant governor and the AG spot as well tonight. But we'll see in time whether or not that becomes official. Tucker, back to you.
Incredible. It was back in August that Bill Kristol endorsed Terry McAuliffe, and we should have known then. Of course, that's the kiss of death. Bill Hemmer, thanks so much for your updates.
You got it,
all through the
Tucker.
hour. Appreciate it. So Charlie Hurt is the opinion editor at the Washington Times. More significant, he is a son, a generational son of the Commonwealth of Virginia, deeply knowledgeable of its politics, culture, and people. He joins us tonight on the eve of what looks like a pretty big moment. Charlie Hurt, what do you make of this?
Yeah, I think it is pretty astonishing. And I think what we're looking at right now, Tucker, is a return of sanity to politics.
Yeah.
I think the real lesson for tonight could be that we are seeing finally, at long last, the death of racist politics in America. Finally, you had a guy, and of course the way we got here was things had to get so bad that you had to have a guy come along and call out the fact that you have schools poisoning our children with racist nonsense and say, you know what? This is not American, and you know what? Parents don't want this. And of course, the reaction to that is that people like Terry McAuliffe says, shut up, parents shouldn't have any role in this. And the voters say, no, actually, you know what? We do have a role in this, and return sanity to politics in America.
Well, so I keep thinking that, Lester. I've been thinking about you. I mean, not to embarrass you, but I happen to know you live in a multiracial community in Virginia. It's a multiracial state, and people seem to get along pretty well, actually. They don't need to have this stuff ground in their face day in and day out. Why are they constantly picking a wound that is healing?
Because it's very effective in politics. It turns out that if you can't have a free and fair debate or an open debate about something, things go really bad. So if every time you open your mouth, your opponent says, you're a racist, you're a racist, it turns out that's really not a hospitable way to have a conversation. But you're exactly right, Tucker. You know, you go into a hospital in regular, normal Virginia, and you have people of all races, all creeds, everything, working together to help somebody, to help a patient, for example. There is none of this stuff. But as soon as you turn on the TV, you turn on CNN, you listen to the news, you listen to people like Terry McAuliffe, and you would think this is the most racist place on earth. It's not. These people are sick and tired of it. And I haven't seen exit polling, but I guarantee you we're going to find there were a lot of Democrats who came out and said, you know what? I'm sick and tired of this stuff. It's all a distraction from the failures of Democrats, especially in big cities. This is a distraction, and we're going to put this stuff to bed once and for all.
Yeah, it's such a disgrace and so cynical, so deeply cynical. Charlie Hurt, I hope this is a huge victory for you and for the state. Great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Tucker.
Amazing, amazing. very clear at this point that Glenn Youngkin has the advantage in this race. Not been called, but it looks like potentially Republicans could sweep all 3 statewide offices. Just absolutely incredible. So after this night is over, we recommend you go watch Patriot Purge, our 2nd episode, out today. Episode 3 out tomorrow. It's all on TuckerCarlson.com. Election night continues with the great Sean Hannity. We'll see you soon.
And welcome to Hannity, and this is a Fox News alert on this election night. The polls are now officially closed in New York, New Jersey, and the Commonwealth of Virginia, where Republican Glenn Youngkin and Democrat Terry McAuliffe. Full packed hour, county by county analysis. The vote totals as they continue to stream in. Screen. This will be the most important thing to watch. Last year, Virginia by 10 points. Now Joe is 10 points. And tonight, what could be a clear Joe Biden. The race is now shaping up to be Democrats. According to exit polls, the economy, your voters, chaos. We have slow economic growth, supply chain, core of gas prices as the president Russia. He could ask. Anyway, all in the name of climate. Their concern. Second most important issue of 2 things. All of those a say in their kids' education. Calling every strategy that on socialist policy. Not had a competitive governor's race in 12 years. This race will go down to the wire. That we can tell you. We start tonight with analysis out of Virginia. Now we start with Bill Hemmer. He got the most important job of the night. He is at the big board. And why you have most important job for this reason. What's that? Is Glenn Youngkin's campaign, are they meeting expectations in the areas they need to do well? And are they exceeding expectations in areas that you expect the Democrat to do better?
I think right on both counts right now, Sean. You're at 64% of the vote in right now. Tally, okay? There's a little bit of vote out still. Fairfax County, big county, heavily populated. Good evening to you, by the way. And Sean, welcome to our coverage. I'm going to show you 2 historically Democratic, well, not historically, but they have voted Democrat, have been blue for some time. Remember Northern Virginia here, Washington, D.C. You got Southwestern Virginia down here. This is the Richmond area, then Hampton Roads down here. Right here, Sean, a moment ago, Richmond City County clocked in. Not a ton of vote here, 5.5%. But Terry McAuliffe is about 70% vote. You would expect that in Richmond, but here's what I want you to notice. The suburb to the north, the county to the north and the county to the south, these are suburban voters. Chesterfield to the south and Rico to the north. Let me explain in Rico first, all right? This has been blue for some time. Sean, this is an amazing thing. All right, McAuliffe with about 97% of the vote in, on a percentage base now, is at 54%. Okay, I want you to see what Joe Biden did 11 months ago. On a percentage basis, almost 64%. Ralph Northam, 4 years ago, on a percentage basis now, he was at 60%. Terry McAuliffe in 2021 has come back to present day here. He's underperforming in this county by 5 points. That's an extraordinary measure in an election that seems to be razor tight. Now I'll go to the southern part of Richmond here. This is Chesterfield. This was one of our target counties that we thought, really, this is a key to watch. Right now, Youngkin outperforming his margin that he needs on a percentage basis in order to win statewide. We had him at the low around 51%, 52. He's up on that by at least 3, maybe 4 points, and you've got 80% of the vote reporting there in Chesterfield County as well. Now, let me take you down to the southeastern part of the state, show you another Democratic county. Kamala Harris was last Friday. Terry McAuliffe campaigned there many times. Little dot map here, that's Norfolk County, heavily Democratic, strong American vote. You have 3/4 of the vote in right now. McAuliffe's only 61.5%. So historically, how does that rate on a percentage base? 4 years ago, look where Northam was. He was 73. Again, yet McAuliffe is underperforming in areas where you would expect him to do much better than. I'll just pop down here to see this. Virginia Beach has been watching this, 57% in. That's a number for Youngkin. Let me just pop around here. Chesapeake County. Okay, you're 60% for Youngkin, and about the vote has been tabulated there in the southeastern part. Hampton, West Tidewater region of Virginia. Now I want to show you what's happening in the rural Southwest. This big swath of right here, this is dominated by. Now, look, you expect Youngkin to win this part of the state. That's not the argument. The question is, in rural Virginia, how do you do? Look at that. That's 88%. Pop over here, Lee County. You're almost at 9%. Well, we've been an eye on this all night. You're 86.7. These are dominating numbers. Why does that matter? Okay, it matters because in a close race, you add up all these rural counties and you pick up 100 votes here and 1,000 votes there, and the close race statewide, that can make a big difference. Who wins and who loses. And right now, Youngkin, he's outperforming here in southwestern Virginia. Some of the suburbs around Richmond, he's outperforming there as well. His team has to feel very good about the positioning so far tonight. Another part of this state, Sean, this is Loudoun County. We bring it, we're at 99% vote now. And Youngkin, just about 45%. So again, up by 2 points from where we thought he would need to be in a win across the state. A lot of questions here about what's happening in Fairfax. I'll just let you know, they seem to have sped their counting right now. It's a good sign here because the population rank is 133 counties and cities with about 57.5% of the vote. McAuliffe expected to do well here. We had in Fairfax, we had Youngkin on a floor of 34%. So he's right at that number right now. But again, you've got a 40 to 43% of the vote still to be counted. So he could still get there and see as we move throughout the year. Two big bellwethers. Done a deep dive on the research team. Remy doing this all weekend. Sean, you know what now? There are 2 counties in the state of Virginia who's picked a winner directly for 4 years. You ready, Sean? You want a quiz game here?
I'm ready to go.
Okay. So this is Northampton, all right? At the moment, you've got a lead for Youngkin. You got about 13% of the vote out. Right now, Northampton, if Youngkin will win, they would hold up their reputation as being a bellwether Virginia. Let's see whether or not that hangs on. And this right here is Edward County in Virginia. Well, you're getting close. You're up over 92%, and Youngkin is hanging on to a lead. So if it stays that way over the course of the next hour or two, however long it takes to see what comes in from Fairfax County and the rest of the state, if it stays that way, Northampton and